Hello everyone, this is Yulia from Galileosky. In the last video, we started to learn about Galileosky Wi-Fi trackers and even set up the device in client mode. Now let's see how to configure the tracker in client mode if it has to upload data not through the access point, but to another tracker working in archive collector mode, that's also known as hub mode. It is clear that settings of the client and settings of the hub are linked. As in the previous case, I will not touch all the tracker settings. I will only focus on those needed for trackers to work correctly with the Wi-Fi channel. So, let's start Configurator and go to Data Transmission tab. The first important difference is the primary server. If the tracker should upload data to the hub, put 192.168.1.1 as the primary server address. The port should be the same as your primary server's one. It is very important that the port settings are the same on the client and on the hub, and the setting should correspond to the one provided by your software. The next step is the Wi-Fi network settings. SSID, authentication type, and password must match the settings of the tracker in the archive collector mode. In our case, the network name is GS Hub and password is 11223344. The RSSI recommendations remain the same. You can leave the RSSI level at -100 or change it to -90 for more secure connection. Another important parameter is the period of sending to the hub. This parameter's name isn't very clear. Let me explain. In real conditions, it is possible that there will be several client trackers in the receiving area of the hub. Most likely, the first client to connect to the hub is the one with the highest signal level. This client will upload all the collected archive data and automatically disconnect. However, while uploading data, it may collect some more archive, and it will try to connect to the hub again. So, the period of sending to the hub parameter is just for setting the time of client's reconnection to the hub. The default value is set to 120 seconds. It means the client will reconnect to the hub only in 2 minutes after uploading its archive. In most cases, this is enough time for the next client to connect to the hub and start uploading its data. However, if the hub may be in an area where there are many clients, it's better to set a longer period of sending to the hub in your client settings, like 300 seconds or more. In this case, all clients will be able to connect to the hub and upload their archives. I will keep the default value, as I am just setting up a couple of trackers for demonstration. If your device can sometimes be in a GSM coverage area, you can put in a SIM card. But do not forget to set APN parameters of your operator. In this case, the address of your server should be specified in the settings of the secondary server. Note that the hub and your server are two different servers for the client tracker. In other words, it will send the same data to both channels, and the server will eventually receive two sets of data. Therefore, it's better to check with technical support of your software if the server can automatically ignore duplicate data. Otherwise, duplicate data can cause reporting problems. While we'll set up the tracker as a client to send data to the hub, I recommend that you check your device's settings carefully and test the data transmission before sending trackers to the field. The client-to-hub-to-server connection is one way at the time of filming this video, so the client data will go to server, but you won't be able to send commands from the remote configuration server or from your software. If there is no GSM coverage, you can fix errors in the tracker settings only with USB connection, which can be problematic and extremely costly. Now let's take a look at the settings of trackers in the archive collection mode. In this case, there are also two operation modes available. The first one is that hub can upload its own data and the client's data using GSM network. Second, the hub can itself become a client and connect to existing access points as well as upload data to another hub for further transmission. In this case, you'll need to use Easy Logic. We'll deal with this question later on, but now let's see how to configure the hub. Start Configurator and go to the Data Transmission tab. Set the server where data should be uploaded as the primary server. Make sure that the port is correct. Note that the archive collector only uploads client data to the primary server. Only collector's own data goes to the secondary one. Another important point is that the archive collector must always have an SD card. The hub can store its own data in the internal memory, which we recommend, but the client data can only be stored on an SD card. Please be careful when selecting SD cards. We recommend using original industrial class memory cards of popular brands. If the SD card fails, not only will the hub stop collecting client data, but all data that's not yet been uploaded will be lost. Usual memory cards are not designed to work with telematic equipment. Temperature and humidity changes, as well as constant vibration, lead to a card's failure. Industrial class SD cards are declared to work in industrial equipment and should last longer. Let's go back to the settings. The primary server is already set. If you plan to upload data via GSM, you need to install a SIM card and set the APN parameters. Carefully check the Wi-Fi APN settings. It should be the same as the settings you have on your client trackers. Set the SSID, authentication type, and password for network access. Operation mode should be access point archive collection. The rest of the parameters can be left by default. Apply the settings. As I said, with the current settings, this tracker will automatically collect client data using Wi-Fi and upload it to the server using GSM as soon as the network is available. How can we tell if the hub is actually collecting client data? Of course, you can look at the tracker's log on the Troubleshooting tab. In the previous video, I already showed you how to check the diagnostic messages. But there is another way for the hub to check if it's collected data from clients. This method is probably more convenient, because you can only see diagnostic messages during data transmission. Trackers are likely to be outside of GSM coverage zone at this time, and so unavailable for remote connection. But when the hub appears, we can study the contents of its SD card and check what trackers it's connected to and what archives are collected successfully. In this case, fslist command will help us. There was previously a video about the commands for working with memory card data. The link to it is on the screen now. Let's take a look at what the data on the SD card looks like when the archive collector has successfully uploaded data from clients. Start Configurator and go to the Commands tab. To start, send the command fslist space /arc/collector. In response, we get a table with a list of folders and files in this folder. The collector folder stores archive data from clients. Folder names in this case are the MAC addresses of the clients. Inside the folder, which has the name like the MAC address of the client, there is another folder which has a name similar to the client's IMA. Next are folders with system names where the data is stored. Please pay attention to the second and the third column of the table. This is the date of time of the last data update. The date and time are shown without separating points. This way we can check the contents of an SD card. The goal is to find the most recent files in the folders, which will show us when the data from the selected client was last updated. Sure, if the update time is yesterday or today, the hubs collected data from this client, and you will see it in the monitoring software. Please note that the file modification data doesn't necessarily say that the data in this archive is from that time. It could be some older data. The file properties tell you exactly where the files were modified, but not their contents. So, today we've looked at setting up a simple client-to-hub-to-tracker data transmission chain. In the next video, I will show you how to configure hub trackers in a more flexible way. That's all for today. This has been Yulia from Galileosky. See you later!